Hello out there, and today we're taking a look at this Benchmade 531. And my 531 is the -1501 version, which is an REI exclusive and comes with S30V blade steel instead of the standard 154 cm, and also has green G10 handle scales instead of the gray and black which are on the base model. But apart from that, everything else on the knife is essentially the same, so I wanted to take just a few minutes today to talk about the design itself and how it has some really nice upgrades over the 530, which is its predecessor, and just go over those details and then just my overall feelings when it comes to the knife. So we'll hit some specs, we'll do some size comparisons, talk about the weight, all the good stuff, but we are going to start with those upgrades over the 530. Because I owned a 530 at one point, had one for quite a long time. It was one of my first Benchmades, and I picked it up because it was extremely light and was a pretty cool looking knife, and was also very affordable, coming in at the $85 to $90 range. And I got that one, and like I said, I liked it a lot, but there were some definite opportunities and things that it could have done better. And it just wasn't a very strong knife. You know, it was a good lightweight, a backup knife. I've heard a lot of people say it was a really good backpacking knife, and for a while I did have it just in a kit just to be there because it didn't take up much space and was extremely light. But the upgrade, the big upgrade that changes the way this knife functions versus that is that instead of the Zytel plasticky scales that the 530 had, this one has G10. And the G10 on this knife and on the base 531 is fantastic. It's really good. It adds a lot of good look, but also rigidity, because if you look inside here, you don't have full liners. What you have are just the inset liners that house the axis lock, if I can get that focused. But those stop right around here at this screw, and so basically it's just the G10 that is forming the strength of the knife. And it does that a whole lot better than the 530 did. So it makes the knife a lot better as far as versatility goes and creates a few more applications that this knife would be really good for in terms of EDC and just being able to carry this knife on a daily basis and not designate it just for light use tasks. You know, the 530 was a knife that, although it was really thinly ground and was extremely sharp, it just wasn't one that I would want to use to like break down boxes or any kind of daily carry task that is anything more than just cutting string or, you know, opening letters or packaging. So this knife, because of that G10, it does make it a lot more firm, makes it stronger, and is definitely a good knife for EDC, all types of EDC. One other thing about the G10 is, yeah, it's really good looking too. And while this green G10 on the REI version is extremely attractive, I personally prefer the gray and black that's on the standard model. I like that a little bit better, just the way that it looks. It's very classy, gives this almost a gentleman's feel, and some more versatility when it comes to that. All right, the other big upgrade, at least for me, from the 530 is the grind of the blade. So the 154 cm on the 530 was basically had a grind line right down the middle that made it look exactly like a stiletto. Almost made it seem like a weapon, to be honest with you. And that was one of the things I didn't like about it, is that it had this like false edge at the top and didn't really look like a tool as much as it looked like a self-defense kind of knife. And this one not only gets added functionality from raising that grind line, increases performance a little bit, but also it makes it just look, the profile of the knife is just extremely different. So you still have the stiletto style, and definitely pays homage to its roots, I guess, but the way the knife functions is very different and has a different overall look. So I think that's definitely an improvement as well. But let's move on now to some size comparisons, and we'll talk about the weight and some other really good qualities about this knife. All right, and a couple knives that I have lying around that I want to bring out just for size comparison are the Kershaw Dividend and the Spyderco Delica 4. Because, here, let's slide these down, because the Benchmade here sort of is comparable when it comes to all of these and the kind of tasks that you would use the Benchmade for compared to these two other knives. Very similar when it comes to the overall length. The Benchmade cutting edge is just over 3 inches, and you have similar lengths on the dividend and pretty close on the Spyderco as well. But the big difference here is the weight, because while all 3 of these knives are very lightweight, the Benchmade really takes the cake. So let's take a look at all of them. Starting with the dividend, which is a really good EDC and by no means a heavy knife, but that one comes in just under 3 ounces, which, hey, for an EDC knife is pretty darn good. Delicas, as we know, have always been extremely lightweight, 2.38 ounces, but the Benchmade here is the real winner because it comes in at 2.10 ounces. And I think that the original one, the 530, I think that one was actually sub 2 ounces. But really smart by Benchmade to increase the weight just a little bit to give us that rigidity and the better quality materials with the G10, because that's where that weight comes from. And it's definitely a good little addition, because still at 2.1 ounces we're extremely light. But again, just the strength of this knife versus the 530, it's very noticeable, the difference there. Opening, closing, extremely smooth. Very nice. Axis lock is great on this. Completely ambidextrous, as you can see. 2-position pocket clip. Mine came, because I got it in a trade, mine came with a deep carry clip. And sometimes, guys, I just don't really prefer a deep carry clip. So I swapped it out. I put the standard clip back on it. I like it better this way. So it works out. But deep carry clips are available, and this will hide really, really well if you get one of those. But regardless, still good with this clip. Like that a lot. Ergonomically, it's not perfect. And that's one of those sacrifices that when you have a shaped knife like this that you might come up with, you might have some sacrifices that need to be made. But again, even though this does have that added strength, it isn't going to ever be a heavy use knife. So you shouldn't have hot spots from extended use. But as you can see, just the shape of the way it fits into your palm, if you don't have it just right, the very back right here can dig in. I'm trying to show you, but like if you takes a minute just to move it around in your hand and find that sweet spot. And then once you do, and you find a spot where you're not getting poked by the back of the handle, then it's pretty much perfect. It's good. It locks in really well. You can choke up. Really comfortable, even though this is a bit of an unusual shape down here. It's still really comfortable for your forefinger in either this spot back here or further up. So ergonomically, overall, while it's not going to be flawless, it does work for the tasks you're going to need it for, without a doubt. And the G10 does have a good amount of grip on it as well. So you shouldn't have any huge issues. It's not slick by any means, so the knife won't slide around in your hands. It's just finding a way to just finagle it into your palm, excuse me, that makes it work just fine for you. All right. And then the one last thing that I want to talk about, which sort of comes back to why I went with this model, this particular one, the REI one, is the price point. Because like I said, the 530 came in at $85 to $90, something like that. And when this one came out, the price was $131 for, again, the standard 154 cm model. And that's sort of why I didn't pick it up when it first came out. I was expecting it to be right around the same price as the 530, not really a big markup, even though we did have G10 handles instead. But it was. And at $130 something, I really thought that for that much money, I could pick up a different knife, a better knife. And so it sort of fell off my radar. And I never came back to the model until, there was a trade opportunity for me to get this knife and send another one out. And so being able to get the REI version with the upgraded materials definitely increased the value in my mind, and I was able to make a trade for it. But the point is that I just sort of felt that the price was high for the 531, and I still do. Even though this is a really good knife, it's just hard to think about all the other knives out there on the market that are in the same price range, but might give you a little bit better bang for your buck. at the $130 price point. So just something to keep in mind there. If the 530 or this design is something that you're absolutely in love with, I would say go for it. The other thing I'll say is that now that the knife's been out for quite a while, there are some pretty good deals on used ones that I've seen out there now, whereas when it first came out, when I decided not to get it, they were all at $130. Now you can probably find it right around the $100, $110 range. I've seen a few of them on eBay, so that sort of increases the value there when you can get it at that price point. But overall, just as a knife, I'm pretty happy with this one, guys. I like it. I like the style of it. I like the applications for it, and the upgrades definitely make me think that Benchmade keeps an eye on these things and knows when they have a good basic design but ways to improve it. So a big home run for them. Again, if you can get it at a little bit lesser price, I think that would be preferable, obviously, but overall, happy with the knife. Glad that I got this one. Definitely like the S30V in it, and just most of all, just the upgraded G10 here. All right, so any questions, comments, complaints, suggestions, as always, let me know down below. Got more Benchmade stuff coming soon, so really excited about that. But I will be talking with you soon. Take care and have a good one.